Hey guys, Common Sense Outdoorsman, back in the woods. I want to show you a knife, another knife that Odenwolf sent to me. It's called the Ambulo, and I'm going to take you down. We'll take a look at this knife. And this is a little bit different from their other W knives. This is, I think, a little bit more, has a little bit more quality to it in a few different ways. They use D2 steel. The sheath is Kydex, comes with a nice ferrocerium rod. The handle is G10. It's got some Torx hardware on there to keep it on the handle. I don't know if it's skeletonized in there. I'm not sure. It's a fairly hefty knife. If I remember right, I think it's somewhere around, somewhere over 8 ounces, okay? It does come with that little lanyard, which I'm going to take off, okay? And let's talk about the knife first. Let me put this lanyard over here. So this is D2 steel. It has a nice flat grind and it has a flat here, so I guess you would call it a saber grind, kind of a harpoon style. It is, I think they say it's 0.19 inches thick, so that's a nice hunk of D2 steel. It has a fairly sturdy point, so definitely could be used for bushcraft. It has a nice blade shape there. I think this is kind of an all-around knife. Could be a camp knife, belt knife. You could put it into a bushcraft knife roll. Certainly a hunting knife. This is kind of a harpoon shaped blade with the swedge. There is no edge up there, but it's got that swedgy look. It also has some nice jimping, very nice jimping. It's not hard on the thumb at all. Basically, kind of a thrusting. You got a little bit of a ramp there, so it's for a stabbing, thrusting type jimping. If I'm using this knife, go down a little bit more. If I'm using this knife for regular cuts and I put my thumb up on there, it's going to go over that ramp a little bit. So if I'm doing some cutting and I wanted some control and put my thumb up there, I'm going to be over that jimping. So I'm basically going to use that jimping and put my thumb there if I'm doing some kind of a thrusting action. So, you know, maybe a little bit of a tactical edge there, so to speak, okay? You can see the Odenwolf logo, and on the other side it does say D2, okay? So you got a little bit of a finger guard here. That's why for me it's not purely a bushcraft knife. And then you have the front finger groove, which again, I hate to keep beating a dead horse for me, but my personal preference would be not to have that so much. I'd rather have, to me, that makes the knife rock a little bit. It's good for indexing, but I'd rather not have such a deep choil there. The other thing about it is I wish they extended the G10 handle a little bit more forward, because if I use the knife in this manner to make cuts like that, I would like to have more of that handle up there so I have more to grab onto, but it's okay. And if you're using this as a hunting knife, you could get right up on that blade like that if you wanted to use it to, you know, get in an animal and do some skinning or get some meat out, what have you. So you can choke up easily there. That's a good feature. The handle is comfortable. It's fairly wide. I don't remember the width on the handle, and that's smooth G10. So it does have a little bit of a roundness to it, and even though the tang protrudes over the handle, it's not uncomfortable at all. So when you grip it, it is a comfortable grip. This, I don't think as I use this I'm going to have any hot spots with it, okay? And of course the exposed pommel, so you can use that as a striking tool if you need to. This D2, I believe, if I remember right, is heat treated to 60 HRC. Okay, so that's a good for a knife this size for D2. That should give it a little bit more toughness, so you know, protect the edge. And it came very sharp. Sorry, I don't have a piece of paper, but it came with a great edge on it. It's just seems like a standard V edge. Okay, we'll test that out, see how it works wood. Does have a little sharpening choil area there, okay, if you need to sharpen it. So overall, nice design. I do like that. Okay, and the sheath, let's talk about the sheath. Really, this is a really good sheath. This is actually Kydex, it's not polypropylene. There's the Odenwolf logo. It does come with a Tech-Lock-like mechanism on there, you know, adjustable for your belt size, and it seems to work really well. No problems there. You have a belt loop that's detachable. Okay, well, you can see how that'll detach. And this belt loop is Velcroed, so you can put it on, and then without taking your belt off. And then it comes with another piece for a secondary loop that does not Velcroed. If you wanted to put it on your belt and no chance of it coming off, I guess you would use this one. Also, the way it's connected to the sheath with this piece of plastic, so I would, if I'm going to use this and hang it vertically on my belt, I would just take the Tech-Lock mechanism off. You can do that, okay, and go without it and still have your ferro rod holder and your plastic loop holder, and then you could move it around, and you could, you know, do a horizontal carry, put it on your weak side, scout carry, put it in the back. I mean, this type of a sheath with the numerous holes in the Kydex sheath, you can probably arrange it so many different ways, customize it, carry it the way you think it would work best for you. And the sheath does have a drain hole in it. They did put a drain hole in there, so good thought there. Yeah, and we'll try out the fire steel, see how it works. So a really nice offering. I believe they sell this on their website for, I think it's about 50 bucks. If you go to their website, I'll put the link in the description below. I am an Odenwolf affiliate. If you use my discount code CCO10 for Common Sense Outdoorsman 10, you will get 10% off. Okay, and I'll mention that again at the end of the video. But yeah, this is a real nice setup. Let me put it on my belt, and we'll see how that looks. All right, there's the Ambulo knife. Let me go down a little bit more. Hanging on my belt, and as you can see, very sturdy. And I do like the dangler method, and the fact that you can just snap it right off if you want to, if you needed to do that. Okay, that does hang for me. That is my preferred position if I'm going to wear a vertical knife. I don't always like my knife up high and stuck to my belt without being able to move. The fact that this can move around is great for when you're in camp and you got to sit down or you got to get in a vehicle. You can move your knife and put it in a comfortable position without it, you know, jabbing you and poking you and stuff like that. And then when you need to get your knife out, you can put your thumb on this part of the Kydex sheath and just push it free, do your knife work, and then you need to put it back. Snaps right in. It holds well in there. I really like that setup. Looks good too. All right, first task. Let's, you know, I'm gonna baton wood with this thing, so let's clean off my baton a little bit. rid of some of this loose bark. I'm not worried about getting it all off there. This knife has a good sturdy feel. You're definitely not going to be under-knifed when you're using this. I feel confident that it's going to be good for some rough use. All right, that's good enough there. All right, found a good dead standing tree here. People get excited when I stab into a tree. Rest assured, they're dead trees, so don't worry about that. Okay, and again, that's a fairly sturdy tip on here, so I'm not going to try to break it, but it seems sturdy. It's D2 steel. I'm going to stab it in here and kind of just make sure that this tip isn't just going to snap off. Now, if I wanted to, I could jam it in there, wedge it in that wood, with the grain, and bend it over. And if I do that enough times, yeah, I'm sure I could break that tip off. It's a matter of physics. It's not a matter of, what kind of steel this is, and, sometimes, the heat treat is, and so on and so forth. But you're not going to overcome the laws of physics. So there is a point to which I can jam any knife tip and lodge it into some wood, secure it in there, and then bend it over and break that tip. But this one, I'm putting some pressure on there. And plus, I don't want to break my knife. I want to continue to use this, but it should be able to take a little bit. Yeah. So, no problems there. In good shape. All right, now we'll use our baton and we'll beat this knife a little bit and take some chunks out of this tree. Little edge testing, a little D2 toughness testing. And guys, this video is going to have nothing to do with this is how you're supposed to use a knife or this knife. No, I'm just testing the knife, seeing how tough it is, okay? So this is not what I do in the woods with my knives. This is just for testing purposes. I do this so you don't have to. Yeah, take nice chunks out of there. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, so far, absolutely no hot spots, excuse me, on that handle. None whatsoever. Pretty nice. All right, guys, the one thing we do with our knife is baton it. And why baton? Well, we're going to baton because we must. Okay, that's why. So let's do that and see what happens. And I think that the piece of wood that I'm using here, that I'm batoning through, I think that could be maple. I'm not completely sure, but whatever it is, that's a hard piece. Wow. Pretty good there. Definitely a hard piece. Wow. Yeah, it was a little knot in there, gave it a little trouble, but we got through it. All right. And it's a good solid piece. Back through that knot. Yeah. So no problems there with batoning. Let's dig this tip in here a little bit. Yeah, real good. All right, let's see how this thing will feather. And this is, again, it's a piece of hardwood, so, and this is real hard. Okay. Not bad. Yeah, this is a really tight, close-grained piece of wood. This may be oak, I'm not sure. But it's, or maybe not. Maybe it's maple. It's kind of tight-grained. And so not really getting big curls, and that's because this wood is really hard and I'm not the best feather stick maker, but it'll definitely do it. All right, guys, let's see how this thing throws sparks off the ferro rod. And it does say that the satin finish models will strike better than the black washed or the black painted. And I did take the paint off the ferro rod, and it did seem to be that way. Here's this part of the spine, and it will make sparks. It'll do it. And I didn't make enough feathers to light them up. But I find that the tip, towards the tip of the knife, is a little bit better. You get a few more sparks there. So the ferro rod seems to work fairly well, and you will get sparks off of it. I would, when you put the ferro rod back in your sheath, I would put a elastic cord on there, you know, through the lanyard hole, and loop it around the end there, just for safety. It locks in there, but just to make sure that you don't lose it. All right, guys, I want to give you my conclusions on this knife. I have used it for a few days. Some of the footage I lost, I My phone ran out of memory and I didn't know it, so everything didn't go the way I wanted it to. But yeah, overall, definitely a recommended knife, and kind of a heavy use knife in my opinion. Not really a dedicated bushcrafter, but a belt knife, all around knife, camp knife, that type of thing. The grind is kind of thick. I think if I was going to dedicate this to bushcraft, I would thin that out a little bit, but it is a good strong edge. The D2 steel does hold up very well, no problem there. The Odenwolf usual quality is here, no doubt. It is very comfortable in hand. No problems there, no hot spots or anything like that. The sheath is fantastic. It does, for those of you, just so you'll know, it does move around very little in there, but it's a Kydex sheath. You can heat that up and take care of that as you need to. Don't shy away from D2 steel. I hate to sound like a broken record, but heat treated properly, D2 steel can be tough enough that you can do some hard work with it. That's not a problem. And this one is, like I said, is a good strong edge, so no problem there with that. So yeah, I think another winner from Odenwolf. I definitely recommend it. You can get this knife on the Odenwolf's website. I'll put that in the description block below. If you use my discount code CCO10, you'll get 10% off at Odenwolf. Yeah, definitely a very enjoyable and reliable knife to use. So thanks for watching, guys. Common Sense Outdoorsman. We'll talk to you next time.